Yeah, well, yeah. Go with
Yeah.
you, and then the next person, yeah.
I'll go
Yeah, no, I guess that makes it easier.
One of my questions is regarding the fence around the harbor, and a little bit of what I've been hearing is kind of like what we hear a lot as lip service, you know, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and that for me like puts me in a, you know, we have to have somebody in council who's going to represent us, you know. I want to know how can you make sure that, like, we know the truth. I mean, I listen to CBC radio, I listen to the news, I listen to everything. And once it was found out that that fence was not necessary, Sheila O'Leary was the only one that spoke up about that. And when in very much detail. And, you know, this is the kind of stuff that I don't want to see happening. Like, it's like you just feel powerless, you have no voice, right? And I'd like to see it come down. I just want to know what people's thoughts are around that situation. Thanks.
Thanks, that's a really good question. I've heard that question many times when meeting with residents. The whole process that occurred as we led up to the approval of the fence was flawed. It lacked public consultation, and to date, even when you go to the city and you go to the Port Authority and you ask questions, nobody seems to know the real answer around it, and that's number one. The second issue is whether or not to take the fence down. It sounds great to take the fence down, and I'll be completely honest, but the taxpayers have paid a significant amount of money, and if the taxpayers want it to come down, it should come down. But I think a more open dialogue needs to happen around that, because some people may say my tax dollars have paid, it would be wasted. The bottom line is, if the fence had to go there may be creative ways to place some type of a barrier there. Many people have been on cruises before, and you've gone into ports, and you don't see a monstrosity of a fence as what we see downtown. We have enough creative minds within our city that proper public consultation could have resulted in something completely different, and it was a process that it went through that we find ourselves with this challenging situation. I would be very supportive of anything that the residents themselves wanted, but given the fact that the investment has been made, I think it would be quite challenging at this particular point in time to remove the fence, and that's just my honest opinion.
I've been on record, wrote a letter to the Telegram back in April or May, I think. I think the fence is hideous, and I'm most annoyed by the whole process of how it became a fence in the first place. And it's been frustrating listening to the various arguments floated as to why the fence is needed. And the argument changes once the argument has been shown to be wrong. At this point, I would love to see the fence come down. Whether or not that's going to happen, I would certainly try and see what could be done about that. But my biggest, right now, what's sort of the focus on my radar is to at least get the access lift, opened up, because right now, I think that's what seems to be bothering people the most that I talk to. They can sort of say, okay, well, maybe there's times when you need some fencing, or maybe there's times when there's certain activities going on, you do require some security. But you don't need to have the whole apron locked for, the entire day, every day. And I think that, as a city council, we need to work with, whether it's the Port Authority or the federal government or whoever we need to talk to kind of come to an understanding that, the citizens of St. John's are not happy with the access restriction for, first and foremost. My wife and I, we love to run. When our kids were young, we'd throw in the baby jogger and we'd run down. And that was our favorite run. We'd go right along the Harbour apron from start to finish. The kids love to see the boats, and, you know, to me, that's just part of living in St. John's. And, you know, that's, for me, that's the biggest issue right now, is the access, and I would work very hard to get that lifted.
As far as the big wall down there that we now have, as far as I'm concerned, we shouldn't be paying money for things that are not in our responsibility. And so that's clear-cut federal responsibility. The city has absolutely no control over what the Port Authority does, and the Port Authority does whatever it wants down there. And so just because they ask for $400 and whatever $1,000 it was, doesn't mean we should have given it to them. And I think that I love walking on the harbor. And so I think that any level of petitioning or whatever we can do to convince them to open up, have access to that, we should absolutely do that. And I would definitely try to engage with the Port Authority to restore access to that for the public.
Josh, is it okay if I ask 2 questions?